The Double A Nutrition Coach Podcast.
What's up, guys? This is Albert Aldridge and welcome to my first ever Double A Nutrition Coach podcast. And I do apologise for the really cheesy intro. That's a temporary intro whilst I'm contacting a few freelance music producers who will hopefully do a 10 or 5 second intro for me, which sounds a lot more professional, because that one's a little bit cheesy at the moment, but I thought I would use that for my first ever episode just to be a bit of fun. And always at the start of every podcast episode, which is going to be coming out every Friday at 6 p.m. approximately. I haven't 100% decided it's always going to be 6 p.m, but my YouTube schedule, which I'll go over a little bit later, is the videos will always come out 6 p.m. on the days I bring out videos, so I'm thinking of doing the same with the podcast episodes. But all my episodes will always start with a joke, which is related to sport and fitness. So listen up, and apologies to any Americans who doesn't know the football team I'm referring to here, but I'm referring to a football team within the Premier League, which is a football league in the UK, or you call it soccer in America. But which football team in the Premier League loves ice cream? Aston Vanilla. Get it? Aston Villa? Aston Vanilla? Vanilla ice cream? If you ever have any suggestions for jokes that you'd like to send me, then do go ahead and send them over to aafitness01@gmail.com. It'll be in the YouTube description if you're watching this from YouTube, but it'll also be in the show notes of this podcast episode if you're listening from iTunes. And I do appreciate your time, so thank you very much for listening. Each of my podcast episodes is going to be covering a topic that you guys have suggested or that has come up in the fitness industry. So today I'm going to be talking about the importance of goal setting and psychological well-being. But just before I get on to that topic, I'm going to be going over 3 main points. I just want to introduce this podcast and also give you one gift that you can, there's a link to it in the YouTube description or in the show notes if you'd like to get it straight away, which I'll explain in a bit more detail. But the podcast episodes are going to be lasting between 10 and 15 minutes per episode, so nothing too long but nothing too short, so you can listen to it in your ears whilst you're doing something. You know, usually a podcast episode lasts the period of time that it takes to unload a dishwasher or perhaps hoover one floor of a house. So that's when you could be listening to my podcast. And sometimes, and actually I'm going to be having one in the second episode, hopefully, or third episode of my podcast, but I'll have guests on, so that'll be when I have a slightly longer episode, which I'm not too worried about how long that goes on for. But typically episodes will be between 10 and 15 minutes when it's just me. But if I've got a guest on, then I won't be too worried about how long it goes on for, but it'll most likely be going on for about half an hour. And just to give you a brief synopsis, I'm not going to say his whole name, but I will say his company name. I'm going to be having a guy called Alex of We Are PR Clothing. I have said that right, haven't I? Yeah, We Are PR Clothing. He's going to be coming on to my podcast to talk about business, how he's relating his faith to business, fitness, mindset, goal setting. I'm saying a lot of words there, but that is just a brief idea of the topics we could be covering in the... It's not finalised yet, but that could be part of the topics we're covering in the episode where he comes on. We're going to have a bit of a chat, make it a bit of fun, and hopefully get you guys involved with it by answering some of your questions. But first of all, that was the first thing. But second thing I want to give you guys is a free fat loss ebook. If you're struggling to lose fat at the moment and you potentially would like to purchase a nutrition plan, but really you'd just like to do it by yourself if you can, I've got a free fat loss ebook that I advertise a little bit on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be advertising it a lot more now. And what you can do is click the link in the show notes to download my fat loss ebook, or you can click the link in the YouTube description if you're watching from YouTube. All you do, click the link, it will take you to a page where I just need to take your email so I can send it over to you and you will receive it straight away. And within there, it's got basically a lot of blog posts that I've done in the past, but it's in one book. and it will just guide you on how to utilize refeed days to burn fat, how to strategically manipulate your calories in order to burn fat and maintain as much muscle mass as possible. So I do encourage you to go and download that ebook by clicking the link in the show notes or the YouTube description. If you're interested in checking out my other forms of social media, I have an Instagram account which I regularly upload on, but YouTube really is the main thing that I like to upload on. And my YouTube schedule is now, I'm going to try and stick to it. It's going to be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday upload schedule. So on the Monday, I have a vlog style more fun video which is documenting my journey with CrossFit, weightlifting, and hopefully my view is to potentially compete at the CrossFit Games, but I also do full days of eating on that day and regularly do weekly physique updates on my lean bulk, as I hope to compete in CrossFit at a lean physique of 90 kilos eventually, but it's going to take time. Then Wednesday, I'll be doing a shorter video that's addressing a very common question in the fitness industry to do with fat loss and diet and how you can apply it to your own lifestyle. So the one that just came out today, it's Wednesday today when I'm recording this, is how many calories do you need for cutting and how to work it out so you can burn fat effectively. Then on a Friday, it'll be an episode where my podcast comes out on iTunes and also on YouTube, and then Sunday will be a live stream where I answer your guys' questions but also address another topic in the fitness industry which is a bit more broad, and that can be to do with mindset and sport, do with even if it's to do with a specific sport like running. If you're talking about the best type of running shoe to get, I'll be getting your guys' feedback on what you'd like me to talk about. So you can go ahead and click the links in the YouTube description or the show notes in order to go over to my pages. And I really do encourage you guys to subscribe to those channels because I have different types of content that come out on my Instagram stories, Instagram and YouTube channel. In regards to these episodes that, if we're just talking about the podcast, I will be doing a variety of different episodes where I interview some people, where sometimes I do a certain topic where I give you my personal opinion on it and I use scientific studies to back up what I'm saying. So what I've looked at, for example, I might talk about one episode I'm planning on doing is exercise and depression, the links with it, and I'll be referring to scientific literature within that podcast episode and be leaving the links to the scientific studies referenced in the show notes or the YouTube description. But then there'll be other episodes where I just tell you about my personal experience and my own stories in regards to a certain topic. So again, if it was to do with something like exercise and depression, I haven't experienced depression myself, but I'll be telling you just about my personal experience and how I've recovered from that. But anyway, you want to be listening. You probably clicked on here to listen about the importance of goal setting and psychological well-being. But first of all, just let me clear my throat a second. Thank you so much. And if any of you ever have would like to be included on an episode and actually talk, if you have a certain subject that you're passionate about or you're within a certain work, say for example, if you're a counsellor and you'd like to talk about depression and exercise, that would be an example. So do just send me an email, afitness01@gmail.com, if you'd like to be included within a video on YouTube or like to be included within the podcast, because I want to get my subscribers and people who follow me and who are part of the AA family involved in my content as much as possible. But the importance of goal setting and psychological well-being, I'm going to be going over 3 main points. First point is the importance of breaking down goals and making some that are achievable and some that are more challenging. So what I'm talking about is, this was prompted by a question I was asked by a client the other day, saying they were actually asking me about what my goals are in regards to fitness and where I'm headed, and also with my online coaching and with my work, because I'm hoping eventually to become an Olympic nutritionist. I'm very focused on fat loss and just helping people lose weight. I'll always do that, but I'd love to become an Olympic nutritionist one day. And what they said to me, I said to them about how I'd like to compete in CrossFit in 8 years' time. And then they said to me, that's great, but what are you going to do after that? And that did make me think, and I have actually been thinking about that before thinking of pursuing CrossFit, about having lifetime goals, having decade goals, having yearly goals, monthly goals, or sorry, half yearly goals, like every 6 months, quarter year goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals, and breaking it down that far. I personally more do lifetime goals and yearly goals, and usually monthly goals. I'm not too caught up with the time frame with some of them, but I'm more focused on having some really long-term goals to look at and keep my eyes set on. So the way I answered this question that the client had to me is, if we're just looking at my very short term, well, let's for the 8 years time, I would like to compete in the CrossFit Games. That is an 8-year goal. But lifetime wise, I would eventually, and I won't go into loads of detail because I could do a whole episode on what all my goals are, but one main lifetime goal is to be able to open gyms that aren't intimidating and that will encourage users who don't usually like to go into a gym environment to use the gym and start getting fit, and include resistance training in a healthy lifestyle. And also within every country in the world, if I could, is start incorporating restaurants or fast food chains, which not fast food chains in the sense like ones that are really greasy, but teach people about how they can use their local cuisine and include it within a healthy nutrition approach that aids fat loss. So for example, if we're looking at somewhere, say like Greece, so I'll go over to Greece, look up what their staple foods are within a typical Greek diet. Then I'd want to show people about how you can include desserts like baklava within a diet still, a nutrition approach that aids fat loss, and how you can include Greek salads, moussaka, and things like that. I'd like to go into different countries and be able to educate people that way. So with that, if you break that goal down, I would have to be opening gyms in loads of different countries, opening restaurants in lots of different countries. I have to be learning the languages of all these countries, but also getting to network with people in all these different countries across the world. And that actually, although it seems quite overwhelming, it really does excite me at the same time, because it's something that I'm very passionate about and I'd like to help people with. So if you're struggling, even just with picking what you'd like to have goals in to start with, then just take a second to think about, what have I enjoyed doing today, and then try and take that away and think, oh, okay, well, I enjoyed, I don't know, you might be somebody who enjoyed helping somebody else cross the street today. So you're somebody who's very good at talking and interacting with other people and looking after others. So you may want to start thinking about what professions are orientated around helping other people. Then you may want to start thinking, if you're very passionate about it, about posting things on social media in regards to helping others. And that could be videos just as such as 5 ways to help somebody within a typical day, or 5 ways to help elderly people in a typical day. That sounds really random, but honestly, you can create a business, I believe personally, out of anything if you really put your mind to it and are feeling very passionate about it. So I have that lifetime goal, I have the 8-year goal with CrossFit, but then I break it down even further. So like, one of my current goals at the moment is to finish my university dissertation, become a better sports coach, that because I'm working for the local council as a sports coach, and then I'd like to improve my 10k run time to below 35 or at 35 minutes if I could. And then another one is to eventually join a CrossFit box in the next few years and master the movement of the clean and jerk and the snatch. Then join a CrossFit box that's affiliated, I think, with the CrossFit Games. It has to be affiliated with something in order for me to be able to compete in the Open, and then eventually try and work my way up in CrossFit. But the thing is, you need to be setting goals which seem almost out of reach, but will still motivate you to try and get towards there. Because I'm not sure whether I'll be able to get into every country and open gyms and open restaurants that preach flexible dieting, but I'm still really want to give that a try. And then at the same time, the 10k goal of achieving 35 minutes seems quite realistic to me. And if I know that I'll put the hard work in, which I will. So then that really motivates me to get there. And then I'll do 10k local runs to test myself against other people. And that's just a great way of doing it. Just keep breaking it down. I've actually got I'll link it in the description or the show notes of a video I did on YouTube called My Short and Long Term Goals on my YouTube channel, where I went into most of the goals I have, but I have a really good document on there that you can download, which is where you can write out some of your own goals if you're trying to work them out yourself. So that's the first point. Second point is make sure you practice patience and don't be scared of failure. So when I say practice patience, I'm going to use an example in regards to failure, and it seems ridiculous because it was so concurrent actually, because just this previous Monday I did my driving theory exam because I'm learning to drive, and I actually failed the theory part of it by 2 marks. I passed the hazard perception part of it very comfortably, but the theory bit where you do multiple choice questions, I failed by 2 marks. And when thinking back to the questions, I got mixed up with what was a high gear and a lower gear, and I felt so silly because I was like, that's such a stupid mistake to make. I could have easily passed that test. But thinking about it, taking a step back, I always try and think now with failures as an opportunity rather than something that's setting you back. It's an opportunity to grow even more. So with that, I'm going to be doing it again next week, but it's the chance and opportunity for me to learn more about the highway code and to become a better driver and become more equipped with knowledge of the highway code, which means that I'll be more comfortable on the roads when I do my driving test, and therefore I might, instead of passing now and potentially having to do my actual driving test a few times before passing, doing this driving theory test again may equip me with the knowledge I need to be able to pass my driving actual test the first time. So if ever any of you guys are experiencing a failure or have experienced a setback, just try and look at it from a different perspective and think about what opportunities are going to arise from this failure. And almost don't say failure, because that may potentially put you into a negative mindset. Say, what are the opportunities that come from this? So that, in that sense, you might be somebody who's been declined a job offer after going for the interview and not being accepted. So you've got to think about that this is an opportunity to perhaps to do more voluntary work in the field that you're interested in, which could potentially get you an even better job than the one that you applied for before. That's a very simplistic example there, but that is just something for you guys to think about. And finally, the third point about the importance of goal setting and psychological well-being is always try new things, even if you feel slightly uncomfortable doing them, in order to help you evolve as a human being. So what I mean by that is, personally, I'm very passionate about fitness, nutrition, exercise. Also, I don't do it all the time. Obviously, I spend time with my family and stuff. But I was also very interested, and I still am actually. I think I will at some stage in my life pursue more of music. But I was very interested in music and drama and performing arts when I was a student at secondary school, and I performed in shows just at the local theatre, where you do get about a couple of hundred people watching. And also with music, some of you, I haven't really talked about this too much, and I don't mean this in an arrogant way at all. I'm just using this as an example, but I played my viola, took it up to diploma standard, passed grade 8, and I performed with the West Sussex County Youth Orchestra, and we went up to a stage of winning a national competition, which meant we had the opportunity to play with the London Philharmonic Orchestra at I think the Birmingham Symphony House, I want to say it's called, which was really cool being able to play with them. And what I found is, especially from doing exams in music, especially that diploma, that was really difficult. Just on a side note, with that diploma exam, because you have to hold a viola. So a viola is just like a bigger version of a violin. You have to have it on a chin rest, when you play it. I got so sweaty that there was like a pool of sweat in there. in the little chin rest as I was performing my pieces for the diploma, which was a little bit embarrassing because I'd had to keep wiping it away, and it kind of made my chin slip off it a little bit, which is a little bit weird. But putting myself into environments where I felt more uncomfortable and showing myself that I was able to get through these experiences, whether that be successfully or not successfully, because again with my diploma, unfortunately I didn't pass it by 2 marks again, funnily enough. But then with the drama performances, they did go well, and it's what I found is that it's really helped build up my confidence, which means, and I take that into my personal training sessions, so I feel like I'm quite comfortable with the people I speak with, and I feel more comfortable addressing those people who are a little bit older than me or something like that. So what I'm referring to there is do different things. Like if you're very passionate about running, say, and you just want to try something different, try, say, cooking, do a few cookery lessons, and you may find that you actually really enjoy it. Put yourself into a pressured setting where you may have to cook for a family, and then show yourself that you're able to get through that situation of being able to cook for a family, and that'll help you grow in confidence, help you grow as a human being, because you'll know you'll be able to go into settings that you're not familiar with but still perform at a good level. I don't think that example was the best example, but hopefully you get what I'm getting at. So as a summary, the 3 main points that I've gone over today: break down goals into lifetime goals, yearly goals, or however you want to do it, but do long and short term ones which are achievable, but also some that are a bit more challenging. Second thing, practice patience and always learn from failures. So when I say practice patience, just try and not rush things, because I do find even in the fitness industry, people are saying get ripped quick, get shredded quick. Take your time for longevity purposes and for long-term thinking. And third thing, try new things. You may like it, you may not like it, but try new things in order for yourself to evolve as a human being. Guys, I really do appreciate your time for listening. I'm sorry that I did go over slightly on my 10 to 15 minute time cap, but this is my first episode, so I will be hopefully getting it better and better and better every time. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Download the fat loss ebook if you haven't already, because it's really helpful and it'll help you just to get an idea of how to lose fat by yourself. If you're interested in my nutrition coaching, however, and just how I take people through the process of losing fat, educating them about refeed days, and I make it very individual to where the person is from in the world, internationally, because I work with international clients, and also show them about the places they can eat out at, how they can guesstimate calories and things like that, but on a one-to-one basis. Then do send me an email. It's aafitness01@gmail.com, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think I've already said that, and subscribe to my podcast. Thank you again, guys. Have a great day. I would really appreciate your feedback on this and leaving me a good review or an honest review of this podcast. I'll see you guys in my next podcast episode, hopefully with a guest. See you later.
The Double A Nutrition Coach Podcast.